Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible and all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your calamitous, recuperated hosts. Joining me as always is our other calamitous and recuperated host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
Sometimes you do these and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? What does calamitous mean?
Like,
how do you spell calamitous?
It's like, so like calamitous is like, you're a calamity Jane.
Yeah.
So the calamitous is like an extension of that. So like, I'm wondering, is chaotic too strong? But you know what I mean? In that area.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I should know this, but I'm assuming Calamity Jane is like an American Western lady.
Yeah, she's in. Because I was in the. No, she's in. There's a show called Calamity Jane because that was. I'm pretty certain. There's a show called Calamity Jane. That was the one I was in.
And there's like Calamity Janes, which is okay. You guys, our listeners, we're so prepared this week. I have to know who Calamity Jane is. So she was, an American frontierswoman, sharpshooter. Because I feel like I remember going to the Santa Monica Pier, and they have like an arcade that has a shooting game where you have like the rifles.
Yep.
And you shoot they have like animatronic animals that you shoot, and it says like Calamity Jane's over it, so that makes sense. Okay.
Yes, I think because I looking it up here, I lost you for a second there, so there might be for me going, did I lose you? No. We'll see if I cut that out. We'll see if
we're doing this across the ocean.
Yeah,
you guys,
we are.
so
give us a break, all right?
Give us a break. Stop yelling.
So like I think it's like a famous kind of musical from the 50s, and this is the one that I was in school. My school production I was in. Yeah.
A musical?
Yes.
Really? Do you remember any of the songs?
So it has "There's No Business Like Show Business" is the big one from it.
Okay. How do I not know that?
Yeah, like what is the other one? So like I had the opening song, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
That's okay.
But yeah, this is the one that, like, I think I've told you before, that's like there's a fabled videotape of this that like a lot of my friends are desperate to see, because like, and I think I might even send you the picture of me in costume for this. I don't know.
No, you have not. I would remember that. You sent me some weird stuff, but not that.
I have sent you some weird stuff. That's right. Hey, it's all above board, the stuff that I've sent Beth, but it is weird.
It's like, here's me, like, my favorite, I think is one of your favorites too, but it's like you and, I don't know, kindergarten. And it's like everyone else is wearing normal clothes and you're wearing your Superman pajamas.
Yeah.
And you're like, which one's me? And I'm like, I know which one's you. Yeah.
Like there was any doubt.
Right. I'm, on topic, on brand. I've been not feeling well, and I've been complaining about not feeling well now for 5 months? It's almost May, so I'm going to call it 5 months. So I am interviewing stem cell places down in Tijuana, and I'm going to head down next week to get a treatment. Feels a little like giving up, but also like I'm really excited because I know this works for my body, and I'm like excited to feel better and have energy and not be like I couldn't remember Mr. Rogers' name the other day. I was looking at a photo of him and I'm like, what is his name?
Yeah.
And I couldn't get there. And like, for me, like my short-term memory is usually the thing that's affected. And now it's like eating away at my long-term memory again. And I'm like, all right, fuck this shit.
Yeah. Something
like of all the people to remember, it's Mr. Rogers.
Yeah,
so,
he's.
So that was that's the straw. That was the straw.
That's fair.
Yep.
I was just getting, and like I think we were talking about it as well before, and I'm happy that you have a plan in place. So I think it's good.
Yeah. It'll be interesting too, because like I've done the fly down to Guadalajara, you know, and this will be like really like it's very much like Mexican tourism where they want to like give you an accommodation and they want to pick you up and give you a medical pass to get through, across the border, but like with the border being what it is, like I have my passport, I have global entry, but I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, global entry. express lane looked very handy.
Yeah.
No, I can only imagine. I was about to like jokingly go, wait, there's something going on with the border.
I know, right?
And it's like, I'm not even gonna. Let's not even touch that subject.
No. Anyway, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll give you an update next time we talk. But I'll hopefully be on my road to feeling not weird all the time and gross all the time. I've been like sleeping in. Like, well, Mike was out of town last week, so I was like getting up with the kids, dropping them off, and then going back to bed until like 10 a.m. And then like napping through in the day. I'm just like, I can't. This is not a life right now. So
yeah, that's fair.
How are you?
No, I'm not too bad.
Don't lie.
I mean, like, as good as always. Let's put it that way. But we'll touch on it more in today's topic. So, a few things since I last saw you that I wanted to bring up, which was that I saw Sinners.
Okay. I was like, you're so hip to things. Like, I had to Google it, and then, like, I was looking at the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes, and I was like, oh, this is, like, a thing.
Yeah.
So, please let me know what you think.
I thought it was excellent. Like, I really did. It was really moody. It looked spectacular. Like, I think that he... like, they make really interesting films. Like, I really loved the first Black Panther. I like the Creed trilogy generally. And I think like
I couldn't get into the Creed trilogy.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
It just really worked for me. But
I love Michael B. Jordan.
Yes, he's incredible. And like, you're getting, bang for your buck with Sinners because he's in it twice as twins.
Oh wow.
Yeah, right. But like it was really great. And again, it was more, I want to say with my girlfriend, she said it compares to like From Dusk Till Dawn in an interesting sort of way, and I think that's a good comparison. Now it's definitely its own thing, but I think that's a good sort of jumping off point, and it's not quite as like ridiculous and over the top as From Dusk Till Dawn.
All
Quentin
Tarantino movies.
Right, but like
not that I don't like me some. I actually don't like Quentin Tarantino, but
well, I think that's a Rodriguez movie. I think he just stars in that one. As far as I know,
no, I think he wrote it.
You could be right.
I think he wrote it because I saw some meme the other day that was like, "Don't forget that Quentin Tarantino wrote the script where." Because everyone says he's like got a foot fetish. Sorry, I'm going in all these weird directions.
Yes.
And like, he wrote the script and the scene where like the lady's pouring the tequila down her leg, and he's got to drink it off the toes, and then cast himself as the guy that gets to suck the toe.
That's a good point. It's a very, very good point.
So I think he's got.
You're right. He did a screenplay. Rodriguez directed it. He did do the screenplay. Okay. That makes a ton of sense. Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's quite alright. But yes, Sinners, good movie, fun time in the movies. It is more of a horror movie than I thought it was going to be, and genuinely kind of like some really kind of creepy and cool imagery, but really kind of, a really fun time at the movies, I thought. I've been playing, I may have talked to you about it before, like, I'm on a real board game roll at the minute.
And all I can think of is The Simpsons, but yes. Monorail!
Monorail. And, we go back into there's a legacy board game we've been playing called Ticket to Ride, and basically one of our number very selfishly he and his wife decided to have a baby, and
how dare they?
Unbelievable. So we were unable to kind of like finish off this campaign we'd been running. We were like played sort of a few games of it early last year, and he's basically been. He hasn't been available basically for the guts of a year. We finally got I was hoping to finish it off this past weekend, but we got a few more games of it played, and we got it out of those kind of done, and it is nice. I do really like these ongoing things. I kind of hate them also because like, if you do terribly to begin with, which I have, then you're like, well,
you're stuck in that.
What's the point? Yep. But still lovely sitting around the table with people. Yes, very much so. Why am I doing this? The way I'm also, here's one of the main things I'm delighted about. The box is massive, and I am excited to get it out of my house. So that's coming soon. Because like, as anybody who watches these these videos can see, I have a board game storage problem,
Yeah.
right? So what I don't
Like,
need is another massive box.
we're waiting. Everyone is waiting who watches the videos for it's some time when we're recording. The whole thing's just gonna fall over on you,
Oh, please don't. I mean,
and I'll
like,
be like, I can't help you. How do I
what
call
do
911 in Ireland?
I'm like, just leave me here to die,
I
please.
know.
But yeah. So, yeah, so those are the things that have been happening with me over the past wee while.
I feel like I haven't seen you in a while, but like, we recorded last week, didn't we?
Yeah, we did record last week, I'm pretty
That's
sure
weird.
we did, yeah. I know. Yeah, it's been a weird week, so maybe that's what it is. So, do you have any what's occurring for this week?
I don't.
Okay, so I have one, and it's like, here's my hope. It's going to put to bed this whole issue that we've been talking about, I think, like over a handful of episodes. So our mutual friend, who has written into us multiple times about the whole Tom Morello situation,
Yes.
he says that he did not claim that Tom Morello wasn't in Rage Against the Machine. He said that he was their guitarist, not their bassist. Does that ring true?
I'm gonna go back to my.
Your mind, you're just check.
I gotta check my mind palace really quick.
So I think he just, wanted to set the record straight. He's not insane. He knows Tom Morello wasn't Rage Against the Machine. Just his quibble was with the position in the band that he has. They're still an ongoing concern, right?
Okay, so I will say Tom. Okay. Yeah, no. Okay, I'll take that. That's fine.
Yeah, they're still going. Okay.
Our mutual friend can be right.
Okay, fine. Yeah. I hope you're
this
happy
one
with
time.
yourself.
This one time.
I know you're listening. I hope you're pleased with yourself. All right, perfect. Okay.
Actually, I do have one. So our mutual friend was also. It was when I was talking about Orpheus. And like somebody else, and I couldn't remember. They were like, I was in the supermarket wanting to scream out loud. It was Orpheus and Eurydice. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. So
I think we understand.
Thank you for but I did ask for help, and we were offered a lifeline. So thank you.
That's good. It's always good to
love
hear
it.
from our fans.
Yes,
yeah.
It is.
All right, great. Shall we move on to our topic for this week, which is crisis and recovery, which I think is meaningful for both of us, right?
I feel like it's timely.
It is timely. Is it timely just for us, do you think, or timely for the world?
I think it's timely for the world. And it just kind of like, just the way it's like everything is crazy right now.
It's true.
Whether it's, whatever that means for people, if it's good crazy or bad crazy, it's definitely, we're living in times that are different. And I'm not trying to say end times or, Armageddon, but
yes.
It's I think it's like when 60 Minutes is like part of when I guess, do you guys get 60 Minutes?
No, I would think.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say I would think most people over here would be aware of it, but
it's like a really big brain. Journalistic show. It's on once a week, and it's like kind of like is it the Boston Herald? The Boston Globe? I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But it's like there are certain news sources that really try and take like personal feelings out of it, and they report based on like high journalistic standards. And I guess Paramount Media is trying to buy out they own CBS, which hosts 60 Minutes, and basically like they fired the executive director of 60 Minutes, who's been the executive director for like 40 years, quit because of this merger, and they're feeling like their journalistic integrity is being put to the test. So it's weird times. Anyways, so I think when the world is in crisis, right, it brings up crisis for everyone, and it also like highlights the crises that we've lived through. And like, I don't know, I just feel generally like uneasy.
That makes sense. Like, and I certainly think that it is something. I mean, this obviously affects the rest of the world, and everybody has their eyes on it. I mean, the U.S. in particular is such a sort of like, you know, figurehead, I think, in all things. So whenever we see the lack of stability that's going on there in a number of different areas, specifically as we are talking right now, like tariffs, for example, is deeply destabilizing across the world.
Are you
You
guys
know,
getting like there are commercials now? Like I was watching
mm-hmm.
a car commercial the other day and they were like I think it was a Nissan commercial. And they were like blah 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 and like these bells and whistles and they were like without tariffs and I was like holy shit. So it's like I'm starting to see like businesses that are like buy now before like because prices are going to go up because of
Yeah,
tariffs. So it's like this is all happening and I guess China has stopped shipments here.
I've heard
So
this.
like
Yeah,
the port of LA, like all of they don't have work to do essentially because all the shit from China isn't coming over.
it's.
Our
I mean,
Timu.
or Timu. I saw that. Have been seeing some people's like Timu, shopping baskets and like the cost after tariffs and people are losing their minds and it's like,
Mm.
dudes, what did you think? Or also like the one in particular because it was like there is some sort of ludicrous tariff on solar batteries and solar panels in general. So like somebody ordered a solar panel and it was in the region of like $70 or $80 and with tariffs it was like 1,400.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. Well, and I guess Amazon, you know, because they're probably the biggest seller of things in the States. Like, I don't know if it's as popular in the UK, but like, or in Northern Ireland, but they're saying they want to put the tariff amount on purchases so that you
I've
can
heard
see.
about this.
And the administration is like super pissed. Like, how could you do that? So
How
we'll see.
how could you clearly show the thing that we put into
Yes.
place?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Fucking
So
wild,
it's
absolutely
just
wild.
crazy. It's
It is
crazy.
crazy.
And like I read the other day that like in the States, 74% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. And like I'm like, we are, yeah. So our
Uh,
grocery bill was like $1,000 last week.
oh my word! Oh my word!
Prices. I know, right?
Yeah, that's deeply upsetting. Okay, so fun, everybody, right?
Wee!
Woo!
Woo!
Yay!
Yay! Let's do the
Uh,
wave.
we're having a crisis. And I think that is. Shall we like? I mean, I suppose we already have started talking about it. I mean, it would be good to like talk about what that means in the global scale, but also.
Yes. So can I give you the
Mm-hmm.
definition? So life crisis is an umbrella term using to describe a person's psychological response to major life events or changes. Defines it as a time of distress and major adjustment associated with significant life experience, like a divorce or the death of a family member. I kind of agree and disagree with that. I think crisis can be smaller than that too. I don't think it
Yep.
necessarily has to be like I felt all the range of the crises, right?
Absolutely.
But I think it's like I think obviously like the death of a family member is something that is you know on a scale of its own, but I think when you have like 5 or 6 crises happening at the same time, that's heavy too, you know.
Yeah.
So
It. I know. I totally know what you mean, and I think it's interesting because like throughout the week since we've like since you suggested this topic, I have been thinking about it and what that means for me, both in
me
terms of like
too.
thinking about it as a global scale, but also
Yeah.
thinking about it as how it relates to me and how I like
Yeah.
process things.
Yeah.
Um, but like I think. So like I think I would like to talk about that, in terms of the personal side of it. But like I think what's but I think what I'd like to touch on a wee bit more about the kind of this idea of it in a global scale first.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think it is interesting that like in that sort of definition it does talk about specific like flashpoints, I guess. But like I feel like certainly in my experience and what I've kind of seen that oftentimes these things will like not be so much a flashpoint as much as they are a gradual build. Yes, disasters, for example, are a flashpoint, and I understand that is a very real flashpoint sort of crisis. But the crisis that we are in currently, the world's kind of in currently, you know, economically and all sorts of different things, was very much a slow build, you know, and
Yeah.
like, you know, it seemingly, it, it is interesting whenever you kind of see the kind of patterns that like humanity goes through,
Hmm.
and like how they seem to like settle into the same sort of grooves time and time again. Like we see things becoming better or becoming like better for a wider group of people. Some people feeling the strain because of that, because inevitably change will kind of impact people. Somebody coming along saying, you're, you know, that's these people that are doing this to you, I will solve all of your problems. Them taking the reins and then them just driving everybody off a cliff essentially, and us having to recover from that, you know. And I feel like we are in the very much in that stage of it right now.
Hmm. Yeah, and I would agree with that. And I think it's been a slow build, but all of a sudden I feel like things are speeding up very quickly. And
Yes.
it's like, and maybe that's, this is like the crest of the slow build wave, and now, the wave's hitting and we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Here we are. Um and I think, it's like, I, because I know we talk shit about the internet, we talk shit about social media, but I'm grateful for it right now because I'm able to see things on a global scale,
Yes.
and I'm able to see, the impact that whatever's happening here impacts other places, and what's happening at other places, impacts everything, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I wish more people would look at it that way.
Yeah. Like to me, I mean, like, and I feel like I am an eternal pessimist to be honest with you, but like
Mhm.
even like I feel like
Same.
right, I know, but like
Love it.
right, I know, isn't that amazing? What a way to live. But like I feel like I'm already starting to see things that are giving me are heartening to me. You know, like um, certainly the Canadian elections, I think, were
Yeah,
positive and a
that
positive
happened yesterday.
and a real rejection of, you know, a lot of this really sort of like populist sort of bullshit that is has been like, permeating the planet. Like I feel like I am definitely starting to see, like, I mean, yes, it's cropping up everywhere, and it's always like heartbreaking whenever you see like far right Nazi movements springing up in Germany, and like, again, it's like, dudes, that wasn't even 100 years ago. Like, can
I
we
know.
really think about this? Like, really analyze it? But like so like, and I think in other countries as well, I mean, I feel like all too often what represents the opposite of that tends, or not the opposite of that, but politically what represents the antidote from that tends to like resemble it more than I would like. If that makes sense, you know, as so you know, I suppose to kind of speak more clearly, I find that left wing parties that tend to do well tend to have to become more centralized to kind of take power a lot of the time. You know,
Mm.
there's a lot of crying about, you know, woke and socialism and things like that. But I feel like, you know, very socialist movements tend to never get that close to power all too often.
Agreed.
You know.
Agreed. And it's like, the parties are set, and as much as, we would like to open it up to more parties, like the I that's not it's just it's not going to happen.
No, it's not gonna happen. No, it's not. It's not.
So, and, and
Um,
and maybe, if we just drive this thing until the point where it really really breaks, then it will happen, but in order, it's like the destruction that will have to get from here to there is, I can't even imagine, I guess.
this is what's, I think, the really scary thing about it, and I feel like there's no, because like, you know, you know, I think, and maybe this has always been the case, but I feel like in recent years of my life, that the fact that you can just say a thing and it
It's
doesn't
true.
matter. It's true, yeah.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter if there's anything backing it up
Hmm.
whatsoever, as long as it like confirms somebody's bias in a way is set in stone, true. And that's so scary. That's such a scary, you know, thing to exist out there, that you know, I mean, I think I've talked a little bit about it before, but you know, humans are so easy to manipulate, I think, and I include
I
myself
agree.
in that too.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think that a lot of people think that they're not, and I feel like whenever you deny the possibility of that, you're wide open to it. You've got no defenses for it when it's happening to you.
Hmm.
You know.
I think, and we're both cynical,
Yeah.
and I kind of think of that as being like a superpower
Yeah.
because, being critical, if you add the word thinking onto that, you're a critical thinker, right?
Yeah.
Then the odds of like, deciding to join a cult or whatever, like, are probably lessened.
Yeah.
And I think that the cult of personality is like, it's a thing right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that that's, it also kind of takes us back to our topic, which is, those sorts of things, people who join cults and stuff like that, I think often go to those places when they're in a time of crisis and they're looking for
Yes.
answers and they're vulnerable,
Yes. Yes.
and, they can be more easily shepherded into those sorts of things.
Yeah.
I just need to start my benevolent cult that I've been talking about for ages. It's just
I know.
I've got so much on my plate.
You're like, I'm just so busy.
I'm so busy. I don't know where I'm going to find the space for this benevolent cult. It would be the only cult where the cult leader doesn't try to sleep with all the people in the cult.
Right.
Just wants everybody to be looked after and have a nice time. But I mean, like, I would just end up doing too much work and having cascading nervous breakdowns, so...
Yes.
Yeah, maybe I'll not bother. We'll see how it goes. So, yeah. So I mean, I think that I have an awareness in talking about this that I don't want to be like too much of a downer for the whole friggin' episode, but like I do think, despite being cynical, I do think there is the opportunity for recovery on a global scale. I think there are signs of that everywhere. I think there is still. And I think good's a really trite word, but I think there is still good in the world. I think there are still people who give a shit, and people at like high levels who give a shit. So like I think optimistic might be going too far, but I feel like we have a chance of like navigating out of this, before things get too terrible. So, but we'll see.
I don't know how I feel. I don't know. When it's like Mike, my husband, he's a geologist, and that
Uh-huh.
I've talked about how, like, when you look at things like on a geologic time scale, it's a lot different.
Yes.
And sometimes I'm like, okay, just look at it like that way, and none of this really matters, right? At the end of the day, like, we're probably not going to be here for that much longer.
Yeah.
But also, like, I gave birth to kids, and so I have to think through, like, what does, like, getting back to kind of like, I guess, what I had in my childhood and certain rights I had as,
Yep.
as a child. Sorry, there's a military aircraft going over my house right now, so if you can hear
Fun.
it,
No.
yay! It's not an earthquake, I think. It, I am optimistic. I just think getting back to where things are more steady and stable, it's going to take decades,
Yeah, I think you're right.
So,
I think, yeah, like I saw even there's I think there's a guy called Jamel Bowie. I think he writes for Washington Times, something like that. But he does
the
like
Post, maybe?
Post, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably whichever one isn't insane. And he. sorry, the least insane of the two. But like he, no, for the New York Times. Apologies.
Okay.
So, and he, does a lot of political stuff, but he also he appears in a lot of like dumb podcasts that I listen to because he just likes. He's a smart guy, but he's also funny and curious, and so he has a certain amount of crossover, but he's got a great kind of Instagram presence where he's like, look, yes, things are really bad. This is probably the impact we're going to look at, but here here are maybe not some of the ways out of it, but like, here are some of the things that might be worth doing in terms of leading towards a more positive path, you know. And he doesn't like pull any punches, but he doesn't make it seem quite as grim as I think it could do potentially, you know. So I think, you know, as I say, he's just somebody. Obviously, American politics doesn't directly affect me, but I think it does affect the world, and he's somebody who I have watched, and he has kind of given me, you know, a tiny ray of hope.
Good. I guess, like, do you find that what's happening in the world impacts how you feel generally? And, like, the things that you're dealing with, like, in your personal life?
Yes, but also, like, I think I had to. I remember, like, when I was, geez, I don't even know what age, that I just wasn't interested in politics at all. And people were like, you know, you should be interested, you should check it out. And it's like, okay. And I made a real interest, or made a real effort to learn a bit more about it. But I soon found that it really is brutal on your mental health following politics. It really is. So I have had to just do the best I can at just kind of taking in some knowledge here and there, like, sort of, you know, not fully into the full, you know, shotgun blast of news, but also not being completely ignorant about stuff as well. So, which is tough to balance, because I think it shreds my mental health if I'm fully immersed in it.
I'm fully immersed in it. Like, I follow, you know, I just saw Amazon is not going to post tariffs.
Oh, of course they're not.
Right. So like things are changing. I mean, and maybe it's just like the timing and where we are in the States, but like with things in the States, but it's all changing and happening so fast that I feel like a duty to kind of know what's going on in real time.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm following politics in Mexico, politics in Canada, and like everything basically, you know, around the world. And I, it probably does impact like my overall mental state. I also have time on my hands. Like you know, like I've got afternoons or, you know, like I'm just like, I gotta lay down, you know, and
Yep.
I don't always want to sleep. Sometimes I don't want to watch Bravo.
What?
Housewives, right? No, right? It's true, Andy. But
Right.
so I, you know, I follow politics because I'm bored,
Yeah.
and I could probably find better things to do with my time, or other things, not
Yep.
better, but like other things to do that are more balanced, like reading or, you know, doing art or something. But it's just, I don't know, what, like, biological adrenaline, dopamine
Yep.
button that's being pushed. But you know, it's
Yeah.
just
No,
it's so crazy right now, Andy.
I was gonna say I can understand that, but as I say, as long as it's not completely shredding your mental health, then that's
No, yeah, and I don't think
that's
it
good.
is. I think I'm able, because of, you know, I've got my super cynic cape. You know, I'm able to kind of sort through the bullshit a little
Okay.
bit.
Okay.
Um, but I
Should
guess,
we?
like,
Uh-huh.
I was thinking, like, how do we get through? Like, how do you move
Um.
through crisis to recovery?
Personally,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so yeah, because that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, shall we pivot over to like talking about what this means at a personal level?
Yeah. Or like
I
what crises like you've found that are happening right now, or like things that are coming up from the past maybe.
It's interesting because we've been talking about this, and I said to Beth, again, it's something I've been thinking about a lot, and I've been having conversations about a lot, where it's like I feel that I am in a pattern in my life where I am in crisis for a long time, or building towards it, like really kind of burnt out, stressed out, for and just existing in that space basically all the time
Mhm.
until I pop. You know,
Mhm.
how that manifests has been in like possibly panic attacks, something that resembles that. Um, you know, meltdowns, you know, things like that, and then I have to take like a drastic step back. And like, I don't want that to be the case. I really don't. But like, I just don't know how to. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how to do it differently. So it's something I really struggle with, and I really don't want it to happen again. But I feel like it is very inevitable, for me currently.
So we were talking about this off pod a little bit, but like,
Yeah.
talking about when you quit your full-time job because you were completely burned out and sad
Yeah.
and depressed and like, you wanted to clear your calendar to be able to have life experiences and fun and play and all of those things.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel so it's almost a year since I visited you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And a year ago ish, like I was like, you're so busy.
Yeah.
Like you're so busy, and it's not like you're doing, repetition on anything. Like your life is chaotic,
Yeah.
and I can't imagine what that feels like all the time.
Yeah.
'Cause, like,
It's.
I have worked hard to de-stress, and that means I don't talk to anyone. Like
Yeah.
I moved, blah
Yeah.
blah blah. And I don't recommend that for everyone. It was like it was like necessary in order to like survive,
Yeah.
and my health and all that. But like for you, I don't know. Like I worry, I guess.
Yeah. I think, people, and I know people do, but like I just don't know.
Are you a workaholic?
I think I probably am. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was one of those fucking workaholics that was rich as shit, though. Do you know what
I
I mean?
know,
Not
right?
really.
A CEO that gets up at like 4 a.m.
Yeah,
and they make like $3 billion.
Like that would be nice. That would certainly take some of the fucking pressure off. But instead, I'm just like, I'm a workaholic and I'm poor as fuck. So like, what the hell?
And
But,
and for you too, it's like there's a fine line between like being lonely and not doing things,
Yes.
right? And getting lost in your own thoughts and not having
Yeah.
enough to do, and like you need to be busy, but there's a line between busy and too busy. And it's like
That's true.
if you could find that every so often.
Yes. It's like, I have found that I don't like being stressed out and too busy, but it's often the better alternative than being inside my own head for extended periods of time. Like my thoughts inevitably go to a negative, bad place if I do kind of like step outside of that. So I think that's why I'm just like pilot on, and it's like and it's almost an impulse, and it's like, it's kind of one of the frustrations is that like I talk about this a little bit and they're like, oh, you're so good and you're so kind, and I'm like, I don't know, there's an element of that, I'm sure, but like also I'm kind of like, if I see somebody's having a hard time or like and there's something I can do about it, of course I'm going to do it. And it's like, just pile it on, because like I'm already well past breaking point, you know what I mean? So like, why not just kind of keep going with that and see how far we can go, which is not healthy.
Go any farther? No.
Yeah,
No.
it's not healthy at all.
No.
I was having really tough time last week with it, and there's a song, I think I've talked to you about this before, there's a song in Encanto called Surface Pressure, and like that song speaks to me on such a like on every level, so I just like listen to it and have a cry.
Okay.
To help
that's good.
It's a processing agent, so like there's value there, but like it's also just, I've talked as well about some people, get frustrated with me whenever I'm like taking things on, and they're like, well, why don't you delegate? And then I delegate, and like, not with everyone, and some people I can really rely on and count on, but I feel like they are the exception rather than the rule. Is I'll delegate to people and I'll be like, this is off my plate, I don't need to think about this, and then they will not do a good job, not do the job at all, and then I end up having to do it last minute, which I hate. I really hate having to do something last minute. I would much rather get out of the way. It's much more stressful for me if I'm like, here's a job, it needs to be done immediately, So, you know, and it's like we've talked about this with the choir, how it's like so much easier to just do the thing because I know I'll do the thing, I know I'll do it properly, and it'll be done, than hand it over to somebody else, them not do a good job, or them to like leave still so much of it in my hands, you know.
I guess like what would be the worst thing that would happen, right?
Yes.
Like if we want to catastrophize,
Yeah.
it fails. The concert
This.
doesn't happen, right?
Yes.
Which is like, I guess like, is that the end of the world?
No, it's not, and
But
and
you
it's
would feel
certainly
bad.
I would feel awful about it, yeah,
Yeah.
and I would and it's so funny
So
because
it
like
is the end of the world.
it is the end of the world, you know, for
Yeah,
me.
that's okay. That's okay.
It is, but like you know, like it's just because I would feel the weight of that responsibility, and
Hmm.
I, you know, even though like I would have had done successful ones in the past and so on and so forth, you know, I just like, and it's why like I think that with this there was no way I could really step back and just be in the background. I don't think there's any way I could just do that. I would have to be intimately involved, and I would continue being intimately involved unless I was completely like, I'm cutting this off immediately. You know, I'm walking away.
Hmm. I think the thing I worry about is like what happened to me, where I was like so busy, doing all the things, a total workaholic,
Yeah,
living my life in 15-minute increments. And then I broke my body, right? I
yeah,
didn't break my body. I got long COVID. That's not my
yes,
fault, but
no,
like my little voice is like it's your fault. Like
yeah,
if you hadn't pushed yourself so far, right? Um then you'd be fine. So Andy, it's your fault.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. You'll
Not
not hear
really.
any
But like
arguments from
I
me.
do I guess like I do worry that like you're going to push yourself to the point of breaking, and then like what is like for me broken was broken,
Yeah,
and I still can't fix it. And I don't want that for
yeah.
you.
No, this is true. You know, I don't know, and like I don't know. It's in you know it's kind of interesting because like I end up in conversations with people and they worry about me and they want me to like slow down, but it is very rare that like they still want me to do the thing that I'm doing with them. Do you know what I mean? And
Yes.
like
Yeah.
and I get it and I kind of want to too, you know, but
Yeah.
like I don't know where there's wiggle room there at all, you know. I mean like and a lot of these things are really kind of nourishing to me and I love them, but it's just like I just don't know how to like navigate that at all,
Hmm.
you know.
Hmm.
Um
I wonder, like, you know, can you schedule, like, we've talked about, like, could you just, like, I remember you had the part-time job on the weekends, and
yeah,
that meant you couldn't, like, hang out with friends, and you tweaked that,
yeah, yeah,
um, and added things in that place, in those places, right? Because you're Andy.
yeah.
But, like, I wonder if you can just, like, like, schedule time that's that you're not doing anything.
Um probably not. Like I
Like you've got no time for like magic to happen, you know?
Yeah, I know this is so true. It's like you know there is slightly more potential for that. I think you know since I've stepped out from the choir, it feels like there is, and like I feel like the summer is going to be quieter. But like
Good.
I am also kind of aware that as soon as the choir, you know, finished, just so many other things kind of got pulled in to fill the vacuum, and any kind of like downtime was just filled with other things that like I either want to do or like that I am doing that that I like I'm happy that I'm doing, so it's just yeah, yeah, I don't
Like
know.
what does rest and recovery look like for you?
Jeez.
Do you remember? Do you have any memory of that?
Not really. No. um like I suppose, but like I suppose that the my weekend away board gaming was kind of that, but also like
Yeah.
I'm
But you were
also aware.
tired.
Yes, but I'm also like busy, and I've got like a full slate of activities, and I was like, I probably played the most board games out of anyone that time. I was just because I just wanted to play games because I hadn't done it in ages, so like it's not really recovery time, you know? It's still, like, active. My brain's active. And, like, at one point, because there was a nice house, and I just lay down on a sofa. For, like, 5 minutes later, I was on my phone, and I was, like, doing some work that I needed to do. I was, like, arranging some stuff that I needed to arrange, and I was like, motherfucker, you can't help yourself.
But you're aware of it, you know? And I
I
think, like,
am.
being aware of it is probably the first step, right?
It's true. It's true.
It's like, I'm aware this is a thing. And then, like, I think it's always good to acknowledge that you don't know, like, what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I do not ever know what the fuck I'm doing.
Right? And then you can build from there.
That's true. I like it.
So, like, I don't know. I always think, like, go to therapy to recover is a good idea.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that you've had good experience with therapists.
Like, it's something else I've been chatting about a lot recently. It's like, I do like the idea of therapy, but I kind of ran out of, I don't know what the goals are here. I mean, I suppose this is not something that I've really kind of talked to therapists about. It was more about, or was it? I think, no. I guess I was more thinking about depression, but, like, I guess that is all probably connected in together, to be honest with you, you know.
All of it is, yeah.
Yeah. So,
totally.
I don't know. It is something I've thought about, but, like, I'm also kind of like, where do I find time in my week for therapy? You know? Right? And it's also expensive. Like, another thing, therapy's expensive, and that's also then, okay, where do I need to work more? You know, like, and so on and so on. You know, it's like, or what do I sacrifice to, like, not do that? And, like, I'm looking forward to a holiday this year. I think that does my mental health a world of good. It is genuinely time when I don't need to do things. I can just relax, and I, relish. I'm really looking forward to that. I feel like, whenever I came out to see you guys last year, I had, I'd say, like 2 or 3 months of just in great mental health, and I think that that's, not a substitute, but I think it's not something I want to lose, certainly, not to get therapy, so I don't know. But it's definitely something I'm considering.
Do you have to pay out of pocket?
Yeah, I mean, like, basically, NHS is in crisis mode across the board these days. I think I've talked a bit about it before. So, like, I remember, like, getting the opportunity to do therapy when I was first thinking about this, 10 years or so ago now, but, like, now there's not a chance in hell. Okay. Like, I like, maybe this is my own biases, but I'm kind of like, if I feel like unless you are actively suicidal, or you're at a harm to yourself or others, then there's no space for you really at all, which kind of sucks,
Mm-hmm. So I feel like I don't know, like, one of my strategies is always avoidance.
Yeah.
So are you good at avoiding dealing with the issue? As a coping strategy?
Like, that's a good question. I feel like I definitely do avoid some things. I think that I do like to actually kind of grapple with some things, but, like, this is something where I feel like I'm aware of it. I just feel kind of helpless in the power of it. I don't know, I just don't know what other way to approach it, or to kind of, I don't know.
I will say, though, like, look how far you've come.
Oh, yeah. I definitely feel like I'm in a position now where I'm, like, proud of my achievements and things like that, and, I can, take pride, not just take pride, but also, like, kind of go, oh, I am actually capable, I'm competent, I can do things, and, like, be proud of that, and kind of, like, see my values sometimes, not all the time, whereas, which I think is a enormous step forward compared to how I used to be, but, like, I still kind of feel locked in this cycle a lot of the time,
Yeah. Well, like, you know, you are, you have like, you were a little late today because you were waiting for a job to
Yep.
be completed. And it's like, I was like, why'd you take on this job? And you're like, I agreed to it 7 months ago. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, right. You know, it's like,
I
that's
like
totally something I would do. We're like, yeah,
I
in 7 months. Sure.
it's really fine, yeah. And like, cause I have one over the summer that was like last summer they booked in. I was like sure, but now I have been saying no to other things. But like that's the other thing thing about it, cause like I do have so much on. If then something is running late or for whatever reason, it's like it throws me completely off because like I have such tight windows for doing these things a lot of the time,
Yeah.
and it's just like yeah. So it's
Do you
just
feel
yeah.
like you're living in crisis right now?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Okay. Fuck, man.
Absolutely.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. It's kind of like standard for me, I think,
It
sadly.
is. It
Yeah.
is. But it doesn't have, it's like, that's the thing. It's like, it doesn't have to, I am proof to, it's like, it doesn't have to be. And
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
it's almost like I am ready to feel a little bit better so that I can start to add things onto my plate so I can be a little more stressed out, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
like see
hooray.
how,
Yeah, yeah.
hey, right? But like,
Do,
I, I do feel like it is a big step to just acknowledge where you're at and be like,
yes, that's
yeah,
true.
here
It's true.
it's like, am I in crisis? Yes,
Yes. It's
100%.
true.
There you go.
It's true. Yeah, it's so true. So, yeah, so it's just, I don't know. It's navigating out of this successfully. I really don't, I don't want it to hit, like, I mean, like, I guess there's crisis point, whenever it hits, it's like, its most extreme level. I don't want it to get there. I don't want to like hit that wall and crash out in whatever shape that may take. I don't. But like, so it's just I don't know. It's me figuring out how to navigate out of this now. I think So we'll see what happens.
And when in doubt, like just get out of the country.
Yeah, which I'm going to do soon.
I know you are.
Do you? Sorry, I feel like I've been talking about myself for the past
No, it's
20
good.
minutes.
You need
Um,
it. This is
it,
therapy. It's free.
Yay, free
For
therapy. Yay.
free therapy.
Hope you're enjoying listening to our free therapy. So, do you want to talk a little bit about your thoughts on this, like in your own sort of life? I know you have a little bit, but like, if you've got any sort of other angles or whatever.
I was walking to pick up the kids yesterday, and I was like, what is crisis? What is recovery? Like, and then I was like, yeah, you know, I tend to, how do I deal with it? And it's like, I've done, you know, breakups and divorce and health crisis and losing a parent and all those things. But it's like, I'm kind of in this place where I feel stuck. I feel lonely, I guess, sometimes. I'm bored. I don't know. I guess it's a good thing. Like, I've cleared so much out of my way, and I've really just focused on being a parent.
Yep.
But now it's like, I was talking to my therapist, and she's like, you got to figure out who you are outside of parenting.
Yep.
Because you're not going to be a parent with kids in the house. My daughter's 10. So it's like, I was thinking this the other day, and I started freaking out. I'm like, I only have 8 more years with her.
Yeah.
Or maybe her whole life. Who knows? Like,
exactly. She might be one of those kids that just stays forever.
Stays forever.
Harper might be.
I don't know. Charles for sure.
Yeah.
But but I don't know. I don't know, because I would just fill it with work. So I don't know who I am outside of those things, and I guess that's like freaking me out a little bit and making me sad that I'm 44 or 45 now, and like I haven't figured out like what I enjoy doing other than like traveling, and like where I'm at right now, like we can't afford much of that, nor can my body do much of that.
Yeah.
And I'm like sad about it.
Yeah.
And then like I just avoid. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm sad, so I'm gonna look at the news, right? And that's gonna help.
That's gonna help. That's gonna lift my mood.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is
I
not. It's. I don't think it's like. I don't know if I'm in crisis, but I'm in
no.
like. But I was like, have I had a midlife crisis before?
Mm,
And like, I just haven't had, the opportunity because I've been dealing with so much other shit.
it's true. I,
Maybe that's
like
what
I
I'm having right now.
I think that, like, what you're talking about in terms of, the idea of, like, your interest in likes and trying to, like, figure that out is not, it takes different shapes, I think, but, like, it's not entirely uncommon, and I think a lot of people go through
No.
that.
Yeah.
Especially, like, I've got many friends who are parents as well, like, who definitely have expressed very similar things to me, but, like, even in terms of what we've talked about recently, I think you are conscious of this. You're making steps towards it. I mean, you talked about, like, getting to do yoga class for the first time in a long
Yeah.
time. Do you know what I
I
mean?
went
So, like,
again.
good. See?
Accidentally, it was a candlelight Pilates class with a
Okay.
reformer. And I was like,
Okay. Ooh. Uh-oh.
yeah. Yeah. I loved it. It was so fun.
Yeah, I really want to try reformer Pilates. I need to give it a
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I can't do
So,
reformer Pilates. That's an interesting combination. Okay. Anyway.
so I, you know, I think I just need to chill the fuck out and like things will come my way and
Yeah.
I need to not force them. And part of it is I have no patience.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I see like I'm not patient with my body, I'm not patient with timing, I'm not patient with um where I think I should be versus where I am and you know, it's a fucking bummer, but
Yeah. Um,
you're right.
I,
I went to yoga class and that
You did,
matters.
exactly, and and it's all, even these small things that make all the difference. Like,
Mm.
but, like, I know what you mean about patience as well, and, like, that's it. Whenever you are notice it, and you notice that the changes that you want to make or the things that you want in your life, it's hard not to, like, want them right
To
now.
happen right now. Like
Yeah,
once you
no, no,
realize it,
no.
you're like now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
Hurry
it's
up, hurry up,
like,
hurry up. Yeah,
and the frustrating thing is like my body betrays me, right? And
yeah.
it's like you can't, and I'm like, God damn it,
It's true. It's true.
And that is, my therapist would be like, you can't talk about your body like that.
Yeah, but, like,
But it's
yeah.
like, that's where I'm at.
It's also kind of like, and I know what they're saying, and I know, I think it's important for your therapist to say that, but it's
Yeah.
like, how much control do you have of your own fucking thoughts? Do you know what I mean? Universally, like, I don't really. My thoughts are kind of like, it's a crapshoot.
Yes.
It's just about dealing with them as they come, and
Uh-huh.
trying not to let them drag you down too much.
Hmm.
But I same as like you were talking about for me. I think we are both self-aware enough that we can kind of see these things and kind of know when change needs to be made, even if, like, we're not altogether successful at doing it sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think acknowledging it is such an important part of the battle, so
Yeah.
and you are making changes, same way I'm, like, trying, but, like, we'll see. We'll see how it
I'm
goes,
like,
right?
just give yourself like an hour on a Wednesday to like
No, it's
put your
impossible.
phone down and lay in the grass.
Well, this is why my phone lives outside of my room. It has to. Like, it's just a torture device. But yeah,
It's a torture device.
it is a torture device. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Do you have anything else you want to talk about, or shall we move on to a more delightful part of our episode?
Mm, I guess I just think it's okay to be in crisis and not have it be like a big thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Like give yourself permission to be like things aren't okay.
So true.
In this way in my life, and like once you start looking at it like in that way, then all of humanity benefits.
This is so true, and a lovely way to end things off.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, Beth, would you like to tell everybody what's been bringing you joy this week in the face of all this crisis?
TV.
Yeah, okay, I love it.
So I started, it's on Apple, I think. It's called Friends and Neighbors with John
Oh,
Hamm.
Oh,
and
yeah, I've
Amanda
heard about this.
Peet. And so we watched the first episode, and I love it. I love it. Like, it's basically like this guy that like works for the stock market or whatever. He's like a stock, whatever, Fortune 500 guy. Who knows? But he makes a lot of money. He loses his job. His wife, has an affair, and she's like with the guy. Like they get divorced, and he's living in another place, and his life is shitty. And he is in his at a friend's house and like he's drunk and like goes through their drawers and realizes they just like have wads of cash, and he starts stealing from the neighbors. And I might be frozen. Okay.
Oh, no, got you back.
Okay, good. Anyways, sorry everybody who's watching on video. So it's a great show. I thought the pacing would be slower, and it's actually very like for the fact that, because a lot of times dramas are very slow, and it's not. Like it moves very quickly, which I appreciate. So I highly recommend it.
It did look great, I've got to say. There's so much good stuff on Apple at the minute. It is one of the other things that kind of stresses me.
It's like all the good TV.
Yes, there's so much that I want to watch. The Last of Us Season 2 started, which I'm dying to see. One of the shows that I am going to talk about today, like as my
once
joy,
you see it, talk. Well, we might need to talk.
Like I know what's going to happen.
You know what happens? Okay,
yes,
I did not, and I was like, why didn't Andy? I was like, why the fuck didn't Andy warn me?
I am not telling anybody about what happens there because it's not.
I don't think I can watch the rest of it.
Okay, fair enough. It is like, it's so like let me tell you, whenever like you play the video game, you're like, oh, holy shit!
It was like the Red Wedding in.
Yes, it is.
Game of Thrones, floppy wieners, like.
Yep. So there you go. Anyway, we'll not mention. We'll not talk about too much.
I couldn't.
I know.
Okay.
Well, it happens right at the start of the second game as well, which is kind of mind blowing. You're kind of like, whoa, but like.
Mike's like, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess they. And then he Googled, and he was like, the first thing that came up, like, does blank really blank? And it was like, he was like, okay. And I was like, now we need to watch an episode of The Studio so I can laugh and feel better.
Yes.
You have to watch The Studio. If you want to feel better, watch The Studio.
Okay. I'll get on the case. So the thing that's been bringing me joy, I've only seen about the first episode is, but I'm so thrilled it's back, is I've talked to you about Nathan Fielder before.
Yes.
Who did Nathan For You and things like that. So his second season of his show called The Rehearsal has just started.
I saw that. I saw that it popped up last night, and I was like, this is familiar. Why?
So excited.
Okay, I will totally watch it.
It just gets the most insane. The first season was. The whole setup was that he set up scenarios for people to rehearse like conversations they didn't want to have and things of that nature. But this second one is kind of about, I think, plane crashes and things like that, and like he finds out that there's no budget for these companies to like research how people act in these situations. So he's like, oh, I've got an HBO show. Can I do this for you? So I'm really thrilled to see, because it's always like the kind of layers upon layers upon layers of insanity that show builds never feels, and like he builds in all of his shows never fail to surprise me, and it's always just a sheer delight. So yeah, I'm so excited it's back. But yeah, so The Rehearsal.
I know what I'm going to do with my free time today.
Hell yeah.
But you need to watch The Studio.
Okay, I will. I'll try and watch The Studio.
It's like the first episode is the longest episode, and the other ones are like 25 to 30 minutes.
Okay. So, I'll try and watch them tonight, because like I have a bit of free time. Don't tell anybody. Maybe we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Shh. That's why we record and then post this like weeks later.
Exactly.
Fooled everyone.
I know. Right, okay, so we'll just wrap up this episode, folks. Beth, can you tell everybody where they can find us?
You can find us at bendypodcast.com, on your local favorite Spotify channels, YouTube, everywhere. We're all over the place.
Exactly. All right,
and people are on our website, so thanks for checking us out and looking at our stupid pictures of travel.
We appreciate it.
Goofy faces, yes.
All right, nice. Okay, in that case, we've come to the end of another episode. So as always, folks, we'd like to remind you to stay Bendy.
It always feels cathartic. Love you guys.
Love you. Bye bye.
Have a good week. Bye, bye, bye.